Short and sweet.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome into another Southwest Bias live from Studio K. That is brought to you by Circle K, and you can become an Inner Circle member by downloading the Circle K app today. Yeah, that's the mustache behind the Mac losing his mind over there. Well, we're talking Kyler Murray to start off the show because there have been some rankings. It is rank season, though. Thankfully, we have come out of that and we are at training camp. Johnny Venerable will join us in the second segment to talk training camp. But there have been some rankings, the tail end of ranking season, and that meant ranking quarterbacks in the NFL. ESPN had a ranking where they ranked their top 10 quarterbacks. Kyler Murray was nowhere to be found. SI ranked all quarterbacks, all starting quarterbacks. Kyler Murray wound up 18th. And guess what? Kyler Murray isn't a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He's probably in that 15 to 20 range. He's been average. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks that have ever put on the Cardinal red. But what the Cardinals need is him to step up this year. And I think part of the problem here is Kyler Murray's seasons have very much been up and down. Kyler Murray has been uneven in terms of his quarterback play. Kyler Murray has wound up starting fast and ending pretty poorly. And I think, Shane, we have a graphic that kind of describes the way Kyler Murray's seasons have gone. Yeah, look at that. It's the old horse meme where it looks like a gorgeous sketch and by the end, it slowly devolves. And I don't know that that's necessarily all Kyler's fault, right? Part of it is injuries. And we know that that has been something that you have to be concerned about when it comes to Kyler Murray. Part of it is coaching. I mean, let's be honest, he didn't exactly have the greatest coaches, your greatest coach in that first year. I mean, in the first few years. Notorious for falling apart in the end of the season is Cliff Kingsbury, right? That's not a shock, but part of it's on Kyler as well, because when things became difficult, he struggled. When things got tough, it starts to devolve a little bit, and that's where I'm concerned. But if you look at his PFF ratings last year, he was exactly average. Overall grade was an 82.1. Guess where that ranked? 15th of all quarterbacks that took snaps last year. Passing grade was 77.9. That was 16th. All right. Now rushing, he was 10th, and we know his athleticism. But, I mean, he did have the second most passing yards of his career last season. Had 21 touchdowns through the air and 5 scores on the ground. He was good, but not great. And that's been all right, especially when you're going through a real rebuild like they have, especially when he was coming off that injury. But this is the year where Kyler Murray has to take that step. This is the year where Kyler Murray has to live up to expectations. Kyler Murray has to be a top 10 quarterback by the end of this season if the Cardinals want to take that next step. If Jonathan Gannon wants to take that next step and be in the playoffs with this team, this is a huge deal for the Arizona Cardinals this season. And eyes are going to be on Kyler Murray more than they ever have before. And look, I think he's had some additional pressure because he was a number 1 pick. And rightfully so. We know what comes along with that. And if he wasn't a number one pick, I think people would look at what these first 7 years have been in a slightly different manner. But he was. And you can't change that. But you do also have to remember he's the longest tenured starting quarterback in Arizona Cardinals history. You have to understand that this franchise has had some really bad quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray is towards the top of the good quarterbacks, nowhere near how bad they've been. But he needs to crack that upper echelon. He needs to be talked about with the Kurt Warner and Carson Palmer when it comes to the tiers of quarterbacks that he's with in terms of Arizona Cardinals history if this Cardinals team is going to be what they need. They need him to step up. They need him to find a way to use that athleticism. But they also need Drew Petzing to change the offense this year. He had Drew Petzing essentially put a restrictor plate on Kyler Murray last year. You know those things that make NASCAR cars don't go too fast, right? That's what they had on Kyler Murray. And it's time to take that off. It's time to look at the offense and go, there are more weapons here than I think at any time in Kyler Murray's tenure. Great receiving core. Marvin Harrison Jr. ready to take that next step, right? You've got Michael Wilson that has proven to be a solid receiver. You've got talent in that receiving room. Trey McBride is easily the best tight end that Kyler Murray's ever played with because he's the best Cardinals tight end ever in Arizona. James Conner and Trey Benson are ready to have another great season in the backfield. And if you look at that offensive line, they had a 5.2% sack rate. That was 5th best in the league last year. So protection isn't a problem either. Drew Petzing has to open up that offense. This can't be smash mouth football. This has to be a mixture of throwing down the field because Kyler Murray was 7th in big time throws last year, according to PFF. They need to open this offense up in a big way for Kyler Murray to be able to succeed. Because Kyler Murray has the talent, and it's time for him to prove it, and I think he will if Drew Petzing's offense allows it. This is a huge year for the Arizona Cardinals. This is a year where you can announce yourself as back in the top of the NFC West, either competing for it or actually winning it. 6-4 last year was a little bit of fool's gold and controlling your own destiny, but it was valuable for this team to learn what it's going to take to be on top. And what it's going to take is a complete season from Kyler Murray and a offense that is tailored to his strengths. Bring the long ball back. Turn Marvin Harrison Jr. into that weapon and let him loose. Use that running game to open up the passing game. This is a year that's going to define Kyler Murray, is going to define how we look at Jonathan Gannon's tenure, or at least Drew Petzing. Like this may be Drew Petzing's last stand. You don't come out and show that offense the way it can. If it looks like last year's, it may be an interesting discussion that we have to get into after the season. But Kyler Murray has the tools. And yeah, right now, Kyler Murray's average. Kyler Murray's ranking in that 15 to 20 range is exactly right by the talking heads in the national media. And I'd love to say that they're wrong, but they're not based on history and last year's performance. But past performance does not necessarily indicate future success. And we've seen every tool in the toolbox. Kyler Murray has everything to become an MVP candidate and to lead this team to the places they want to go. It's just time to put it all together. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. A big shout out to the biased in the chat. Hit that like button, comment, and subscribe if you're not. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. Shane, how are you, my good friend?
Hello, bestie.
Am I allowed to call you a friend at this point?
What do you mean?
Are we allowed? I know I'm your boss too, but I think we're all right with that, right?
You're not my boss.
Well, technically not. No.
You're my friend.
All right. Shane, how do you feel about Kyler Murray?
He's the 13th best quarterback in the NFL.
So average?
Yeah,
Is average fair right now?
I'd say he's very slightly above average.
But an opportunity to rise above.
Well,
that.
I think if somebody tells you that they don't think that Kyler has the ability to elevate to be a superstar, then I think they're just lying or wrong, because he has all of the tools to do that. The biggest knock on Kyler is his consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And that has nothing to do with talent. That has everything to do with, one, the trajectory of the team, but two, also the mental side of things. And that's a hard thing to overcome, especially when year after year it continues to happen.
Do you think, how big of a part do you think that is, that the mental side, that he knows that this has been kind of the MO, and then that back half of the schedule rolls around, and those, usually those difficult in division games, do you think that's a huge part of this?
It's hard to say, because like the last year was Gannon and this team's first real push to make the playoffs, and it was, a way less talented roster than one, people thought, but two, than this year. And then the years in the past, you have the injury, you have Cliff Kingsbury,
which I think that's an anchor around any quarterback. I mean, as a head coach,
yeah,
he obviously had success last year in Washington. I don't know that was all him, or maybe he's learned some lessons, and that helped his play calling.
Yeah, and now you have the question that I see some people pointing out in the chat, is if Drew Petzing is the guy. And I like the way that offense has been trending. You just have to unlock the Marv piece. Kyler really hasn't had that guy to rely on, especially in the past 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was probably the closest, but he was only for a year or two, like where he was a really solid number one guy you could rely on and throw to all the time.
Yeah, and again, that people forget how long ago that's been. It's been a minute.
It's been a long. I mean, what was that, year 2 of this?
Yeah.
We're year 4 now. I mean, we're well past DeAndre Hopkins being a quality wide receiver for him, and that's not a knock on the Michael Wilsons and other guys that have been here necessarily, but you haven't had that defined number one, and I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is ready to step into that.
Well, you can also argue you have 2 number ones because of Trey McBride.
Yes.
So there really aren't any excuses this year. You have to get quality offensive line play, and you have to make sure that you're getting the most out of Marv. And I think that if you get those 2 things and you still see a drop off at the end of the season, then it's time to have some uncomfortable conversations. But it does feel like this should be the year, and everything should line up. And football is there's so many factors, like injuries, anything can happen, knock on wood. But this should be the year that we see that next step, and where you finally can say, okay, Kyler Murray's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Get Baker Mayfield out of this top 10 list. Get Jordan Love out of here. Get Matt Stafford's decrepit arm out of here.
There's room for him to move up. I mean, there's no doubt that he has room to move up on this. Let's say we're a morning show, and one of the things that morning shows, technically we're a morning show, 11 a.m. is the morning. One of these things that morning shows like to do is a check on the weather. Well, I can look out a window, you can look out a window, or you can pick up your iPhone and go, hey, what's the weather today? But there is something that we can do here, and that I want to do, that I am bringing to the table, and we're going to do this from time to time on the show. We are going to take a look at the Nick Cage spectrum, which is Nicolas Cage and how we feel about Arizona sports, right? And we'll look at the spectrum, and we will pick a movie that I feel kind of encapsulates where we're at, what the temperature is here when it comes to Arizona sports.
For audio listeners, can you give the what the visible Nick Cage spectrum is right now from first movie to last?
If I can remember each movie, it's Con Air, the long hair, looking happy. I don't remember. I remember the scene, but he basically is playing a slightly crazy man in this one. I think Drive Angry might be the next one, or Mom and Dad, where he's clenching his teeth and he's mad. And then the end is he's completely insane.
Is that Color Out of Space, maybe?
Yeah, I think that last one might
It's one of those.
So
Mandy, one of those.
I had some movies in there that I knew well, and then our friend Noah went and found what he wanted. But today's movie, today on the Nick Cage spectrum, where we are mentally, what we're doing, I think it is Nick Cage's Between Worlds movie. One of those B movies that he rolls out because he's hurting financially. But right now we are between worlds. We are between the football season, baseball season, basketball off season transitioning. We're between worlds. And this movie, if you read the description, is one messed up movie. He helps somebody bring somebody back to life. I think it was their daughter. But instead of their daughter's soul, it's a crazy ex of his, I believe, or ex-wife that goes into the body. So that is your Nick Cage spectrum.
AZ Bro 95 gets it, hits the nail on the head. That is Ghost Rider, the last one.
That is the hair should have given it.
Well, it's when he's either transforming or coming out of it,
which
because he's screaming.
Was some bad CGI.
Horrible. But what was that? 2000.
It was a while ago.
2007. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if he makes an appearance. In as Ghost Rider again. Hey, it is optimism season. We talked about it yesterday on the program. Cardinals training camp starts today, and who better to bring the optimism and the excitement for the Cardinals than our own Johnny Venerable? We'll get to him after the break. You're watching Southwest Bias. I tell you about Circle K all the time on the program, and probably going to be doing it a lot more. But today I stopped at Circle K because I looked down and I realized I had like 55 miles to go on my tank. And I thought, you know what? I'll stop now. And then I realized I had 25 cents off per gallon because I had bought 3 Cokes the other day, and they give you 25 cents off per gallon right now when you buy 3 Coke products, right? Because I'm a member of the Inner Circle. And if you want to be a member of the Inner Circle, it's super easy. Download the Circle K app, put in your information, and bam, you're going to get 25 cents off per gallon off your first 5 fill-ups. Then you can get 3 cents, and then you can move that ESPO level. You can get 5 cents, but you're also going to get these great deals along the way, like the 25 cents off per gallon I got thanks to buying Coke products. So download the Circle K app today. Become a member of the Inner Circle. It's totally free. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And our friends at Mountain America Credit Union, they are the creme de la creme of credit unions. And right now, you want to stretch that dollar further, right? That's important. We all know that times can be a little tight right now. Well, they're giving you double points, 2 times the points when you use that Mountain America credit card on any of your purchases, right? 2 times the points. And then you can take those points and you can use it for rebates on travel, gift cards, event tickets, and so much more. It's super easy. All you got to do is become a member of Mountain America Credit Union, get that card, and then you're going to be able to take advantage of it. Double points till July 31st. It's just that easy. So head to macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. And now it is time to welcome in my special guest. I was surprised when I heard he was awake at 11:15 in the morning to join me, because I know he's a creature of afternoons here on PHNX Cardinals. It is the one, the only JV Johnny Venerable. Johnny, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. From Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, to Johnny Venerable. Very poetic.
Look at that. I figured a little comic book and Nick Cage would be something you'd appreciate. We talked about Kyler Murray at the beginning of the program. Is this the year he makes the jump, Johnny?
Jump-wise, I think he makes the playoffs. I think the Cardinals are going back to the playoffs. I love seeing Matthew Stafford having back problems already in training camp injected into my veins, but I think he does enough. I think this is the best top-to-bottom 53-man roster constructed. I certainly think it's the best coach that he's played for with respect to Cliff Kingsbury. So, to me, it's like his numbers may not be 2020 in terms of the total touchdowns, but I think efficiency standpoint, playing off this defense, which I feel like is firmly top 10, I think this is an 11-win team, and they're going to be firmly in the postseason, not mixed. They will be a playoff team this year.
Do you think he'll wind up being a top 10 quarterback? Because I point blank said, these rankings, from national talking heads are 100% right. He's an average quarterback. He's 15 to 20 range right now. But are we at a point where we can see him transcend to that top 10 quarterback range this year? Or do we have to accept that Kyler Murray is good, not great, has some flaws, but can get you to that next level competing in the playoffs?
I've said this on PHNX Cardinals routinely. I think if you're a Cardinal fan who is, I don't want to use the word clinging, but still stuck in the narrative that Kyler Murray, if he's not a savior of the franchise, first overall pick, like he's a bust to me, that's not what he is, at least not right now. And you have to contextualize that. This is a different front office. This is a different head coach that drafted him. Can Kyler Murray be a good quarterback year in, year out? Consistency is the key. If he can do that, then he is absolutely unequivocally the guy for this franchise. Hey, every year, can you account for roughly 30 touchdowns, minimal turnovers, be a grown-up, and steer this ship? There's a ton of value in that. Go look at the teams that don't have that. The Titans, the Jets, the Browns. You want to be one of those franchises? The Bears historically. I mean, you mentioned Baker Mayfield before I jumped on. It's like that's the comp. It's just steady the waters and string together, God forbid, a couple playoff appearances. Win a playoff game. We romanticize Carson Palmer here for good reason. He won one playoff game. Bruce Arians won one playoff game in 5 seasons. For me as an Arizona Cardinal fan, like, as much as people may dislike him because of off the field, he's not super engaging with them, and on the sideline, they think he pouts, which I don't believe. If Kyler Murray wins a playoff game this year, there needs to be conversations like he's inserted in that category with Carson Palmer. God forbid he wins 2 playoff games. So,
I mean, he's already a top 5 Cardinals quarterback since they've been in Arizona. I mean, it's Kurt Warner, it's Carson Palmer, it's Jake Plummer, it's Kyler Murray in my mind. Right. Like there's not, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, but still.
It's like if Kyler Murray was released in the offseason, he would be the number 1 free agent quarterback. So like eventually, do you want to draft and develop a guy behind him? Sure. But like Gannon knows where his bread is buttered. This team is going to be a defensive star-studded unit. I firmly believe that. We're going to see it on full display in the next couple of weeks. You need an offense, yes, with big explosives, with Marvin, Trey McBride, complement it. And I think they're going to be able to take some shots this year. I think last year they were very conservative to a fault because they didn't want to expose their defense and they wanted to play field position. This is a team that has the floor, I think, of 9 wins and the ceiling of, who knows, 12 or 13 wins.
Can you do me a favor for the people in the chat? Can you give us a live since we are in Studio K?
Oh man, the problem is I would need producer Shane to give me an overlay because I don't.
How about I do it? I'll do it for the people, and then they can tune in at 4:30 to get your version. But I'll go live from Studio K. How's that?
That's solid. Like I'm the Circle K version where it's the real deal, and you're off-brand gas station, hot dog.
I thought it was more RC Cola, there to Coke, but that's fine. We'll go with it. So Will Johnson, everybody seemed a little concerned until this morning because he hadn't signed. He signed his contract today, and he seems quite excited. He said, quote, this was in a video that came out yesterday, but quote, "We got it, bro. I think we're going to have a great year. You can tell we're all aligned." And kudos to him to working in the word aligned because now we've got it in 2 franchises. But did you ever have a doubt that Will was going to sign, and how excited are you for what's coming up with him in the defensive backfield?
I didn't have a doubt, despite what people might think. Yesterday, before the show, I just put out a tweet, and I said basically that Will Johnson was one of 3 rookies that remained unsigned. And people are like, calm down. And I'm like, calm down about what? I'm putting, like, the 2 other players that aren't signed, one was arrested on July 12th, and the other is an indefinite holdout, might go back to college football. And then there's Will Johnson. I'm like, well, this is interesting. Let me throw this up on Twitter. And, of course, people overreacted. So I have a bunch of snarks today jumping in my DMs like, see, Johnny, it was always going to get taken care of. Of course it was. Like, he doesn't make enough money as a 2nd-round pick. Now, do I think that because of the knee issues that were flagged, not by his team, but by, people in the NFL medical field, Like, that caused him to fall. That cost him money. I'm sure he was pissed about that. And so now it's like, how do we make him whole? What do the guarantees look like? I'm not surprised he was one of the last players done. He, to me, could have the same impact that Tyrann Mathieu did in 2013. I think he will be the best rookie corner defensive back since Honey Badger. Budda Baker was a special teamer in 2017. Byron Murphy was bad his first year. This is a guy that's going to come. He's already watching film of like number one receivers at his house, right? And with all due respect to Garrett Williams, he plays slot corner, and Max Melton, I think, is a high-end number 2. This kid, he had more pick sixes for touchdowns than he did offensive touchdowns allowed at Michigan. This is a real stat. So do I think he'll have like some shortcomings early and it'll be kind of up and down? For sure. But like, do I think the Cardinals will have a number 1 corner, health permitted, by the end of the year? Absolutely. It was an incredible draft haul. It was a godsend. And again, if he's healthy, then he will be a big-time player for this team. It's not going to be because of physical traits or anything otherwise.
I love people panicking yesterday because this isn't the mid-'90s, early '90s where Cardinals draft picks are going to show up 3 weeks late to training camp. I mean, that was the norm with Bidwell Sr., right, in the '90s, but that's A, not the way the NFL works anymore in terms of rookies, but B, just not the reality of it as well. Can I pitch a Will Johnson nickname idea to you? I think we call him Sub-Zero because he's got the number 0, and I think that you're going to be lucky to get anything, and I think your stats are going to be Sub-Zero, because he's going to shut you down. He's going to freeze you out.
Terrion Arnold for the Detroit Lions originally had that, and then I think he switched numbers. My only concern is Sub-Zero, in my nerdism, is blue, and the Cardinals don't have any blue in their uniforms. But I like it. I dig it. It doesn't bother me at all. If he wants to run with it, that's fine.
I should have expected you to bring the comic book color mentality to the program when I said that. You're right. It is blue. It's not red. I understand. No, but technically,
that's all right, though. You can play around
if you're
with it.
Looking at in terms of heat, red is cooler than blue. So I don't know.
That's true.
What storylines as training camp starts today that you're looking at? What are the biggest things that fans should be interested in and or concerned about as we start things up?
Well, we talked about it on yesterday's show. Like, can you gain anything during training camp on like this offense and the continuity, and just did Drew Petzing like get his act together as an offensive coordinator? Did he evolve? Because if we open up camp and it's just like, hey, ISO dive left, 45 belly right, and it's just the same stuff, and it looks uncomfortable with he and Kyler Murray throwing the deep ball, people are going to be like, what the hell? Like, I've been saying this forever. Like, I think they're going to boat race the Saints week 1. They need to win a very specific style of play. Like I need Marvin Harrison Jr. to have a crooked number week 1 because I know they can beat the Jets and the Bears at home. We saw that last year. They can do it running 40 times. Can you beat playoff teams? And can you be a prolific passing attack that can convert 3rd and long, which they could not do last year? They were the worst in the NFL. They were 7 for 50 on 3rd and long last year. So, like, can you take away anything from camp like that? I think that you can. And then, of course, like the big ticket, if you're coming out to State Farm Stadium, this defensive line, when Jonathan Gannon took over this team, I remember being in the locker room at the end of 2022, early 2023, and the Cardinals just didn't have NFL caliber defensive linemen. Like, their offensive line was getting there with Parris and Will Hernandez, but the defensive line was like XFL guys, with all due respect. Now it's been completely turned on their head. ESPN thinks it's the biggest strength on the team now with Calais, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan, Darius Robinson. They signed Josh Sweat. To me, it's like, okay, you added all these guys, like who makes the team? It's going to be a dogfight. They've got really upwards of like 12 to 15 guys for about half those spots. So I'm excited to watch that. The biggest question for me right now is, can this rookie class that we have such high expectations for come in and play right away and kind of carry the baton? Because last year's rookie class, we remember, Espo, it was a little bit hit or miss. Like, Marv was solid, nothing from Darius. Max Melt was okay. Trey Benson, Tip Ryman. This year, it's like the Cardinals need Walter Nolan to be good. They need Will Johnson to be good for this team to take the next step. So, like, Cody Simon, the 4th rounder, I think he's going to be running with the ones like as early as like Friday. So are these rookies ready for prime time, for lack of a better term? And so But I mean, this Cardinal team stacked. It's loaded. It should be a playoff team. And so it'll be fun to kind of see how all the pieces align this week.
I know a few veterans who are ready to run. It's Johnny Venerable and Bo Brock. You can catch Johnny on PHNX Cardinals every day at 4:30. You can follow him on Twitter at Johnny Venerable. Johnny, we will do this again throughout training camp and throughout the season. Thanks so much.
Thanks, bud. See you, Shano.
A big thanks to the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach, for pushing the ones and the twos and taking care of everything today. You can follow him at Shane Dief. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, Kyler Murray's got it. You just got to put it together. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.